50% is loaded and 50% is deloaded. So exercising tissue produce mainly carbonic acid, protons, increase in temperature, 2,3 dpg, that is diphosphoglycerin. So all these components are mainly produced by our RBC cells. So because of this higher production, what happens is now these components come and sit here instead of oxygen. So because of this, more oxygen will come out to the tissues. So increased delivery of oxygen to the tissues because of this accumulation of all these products. So now what happens, the graph shifts towards the right side. So all these factors modify the hemoglobin and make their oxygen packets narrow. So oxygen is released more into the exercising tissue. So at partial pressure of oxygen is delivers 10 milliliters instead of 5 milliliters of oxygen. So they decrease the affinity of hemoglobin to oxygen. So more oxygen is released and utilized by the tissues. So 2,3-DPG bind with beta chains of hemoglobin mainly and cross-link them, and pockets become narrow and oxygen jump out. Because of this, curve moves towards the rightward. Very important. The curve moves rightward whenever the oxygen is delivered more to the tissues. So in fetal chain, you can remember like right side is lucky. You can remember like that. Right side is lucky because more oxygen is coming towards the tissues, and left side is negative. You can remember because left side the hemoglobin and oxygen are bound very tightly but not released to the tissue. So it's a negative side, right? Left side. So in fetal chain they have gamma chains, so can't be narrowed by 2,3-DPG, and the affinity of hemoglobin to oxygen is more. And the advantage is it snatches the oxygen from the maternal side because of having gamma chains. So they don't have beta chains. So actually in fetal life they don't have beta chains because gamma chains in hemoglobin F, right, in fetal life. So because of this 2,3-DPG can't work there. You can understand, if 2,3-DPG can't work there, now the graph may move towards the left side because 2,3-DPG is not working. Means they're bound very hardly. So right shifted curve donates 50% of oxygen. When decrease carbon dioxide, decrease all this increase affinity of hemoglobin and oxygen. So less oxygen released to the tissues and curve moves towards the leftward. So to get 50% desaturated, better retainment, poor donor. So this is desaturation, that is saturation. Yeah. You can see here right shift curve, 50% of oxygen donated. Here 50% is retained. It is a poor donor. So rightward curve is better donor, acidosis, decrease affinity, increase P50, increase, all are increased in the case of rightward curve. In the leftward curve it is a retainer, poor donor, alkalosis, increase affinity, decrease P50, all are decreased. But here it is alkalosis, here it is acidosis. So whenever there is higher acidosis, there is better donor. Whenever there is alkalosis, it is a poor donor. So 18 grams per dl is a capacity to hold the oxygen increase. So curve moves upward and increase the hemoglobin in polycythemia. Normal hemoglobin 50. Polycythemia means more cells are produced. So 10 gram per dl is a capacity to hold oxygen decrease. So curve moves downward, decrease hemoglobin in anemia. So these are the conditions where the curve moves upwards and downward. In the case of polycythemia, you can see 18 gram per dl, so the capacity to hold oxygen, the curve is moving upward. But you can see 10 gram per dl in the anemia, especially hemoglobin is low, so the curve is moving towards the downward. So now let us see what happens if carbon monoxide poisoning takes place. It has mainly 250 times more affinity to bind to hemoglobin. So now before seeing anything, all you can guess it is having more affinity to binding, means the curve will move for sure towards the left side, because left side it is negative, means it is not giving any oxygen to the tissues, means it is holding oxygen very tightly with the hemoglobin. So it is poisoning. You can see sometimes oxygen sites are occupied by carbon monoxide and affinity for oxygen binding increases, and carbon monoxide alters the oxygen pockets which are already binded and doesn't allow oxygen to go out by blocking packets. So it always shifted to leftwards when oxygen is binded to it, and there can never be filled by oxygen after carbon monoxide poison, and curve moves downward. So curve moves downward and leftward, very important. So carbon, so in this we give treatment as carbon dioxide. So why we give carbon dioxide? Let us see. Carbon dioxide is given in carbon monoxide poisoning because carbon dioxide stimulate respiratory center and patient does hyperventilation. In a medulla we have respiratory center, it is activated because of carbon dioxide, and the patient has start hyperventilation. Hyperventilation means they respirate, their cycles of respiration increase. So because of this, lot of carbon monoxide may get out and the person may come to normal. So bring out carbon monoxide rapidly and can be cured. So this is like, here you can see actually what happens in carbon monoxide poisoning. See, carbon monoxide come and bind and they try to close this pockets. So because of this closing, oxygen is not able to come out of the cell. It is stuck inside, and the curve moves towards the left side. So this is the curve which is moving towards the left side. If the curve is moving to the right side, more oxygen is delivered to tissues. If the curve is moving to the left side, more oxygen is not delivered to tissue. So by this we complete our theory part. We understood the concept. Now we will go on to our textbook important points. So everything I explained in that theory, but this one is important in textbook. Bohr's effect. It is the shift of oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve to right side. So you can understand, if the curve is shifting towards the right side, means more oxygen is delivered to the tissues in response to increase in blood carbon dioxide and hydrogen ions, because this come and sit instead of hemoglobin, right? So more oxygen is delivered to tissues. So this, as we discussed, the curve move to rightward. This effect is called Bohr effect. So only this term is important here to learn. So here we can check out the graph. On x-axis we have PO2 and on y-axis we have our hemoglobin saturation. So for every, you can see for every PO2 value how much is the saturation. So we know they are like directly proportional. Whenever PO2 gets like 100, you can see when the saturation will go like 100, right? Yeah, absolutely. So whenever it is 140, you can see when it is high, and whenever it is 30, you can see it as like 60 or so. Whenever it's 60, you can see it's like between 89. So like this, with the oxygen saturation you can find out these values here. And here you can see the pressure of oxygen, again PO2, and oxygen in blood. So you can see this is in a venous blood exercise. In exercise time the condition will be like this, whereas in normal venous blood the PO2 is 40, whereas the oxygen in blood is like between 14 and 16. And in normal arterial blood you can see it's like 99 the PO2, and in you can see between 19, I think, oxygen in blood. So oxygen bound with hemoglobin. So you can see when the oxygen is bound with hemoglobin, the curve is moving towards the left side. So you can see the factors which lead to shift to the right. Whenever there is increased hydrogen, increased carbon dioxide, increased temperature, increased BPG. BPG is nothing but our DPG. They are both the same, one and only the same. So you can see the pH also. Actually you have one more effect, like whenever the pH increases, you can see the pH is 7.6 here. It is having higher hemoglobin saturation. So higher pH have higher saturation. You can find out even that from this graph. And let us check out the factors which shift the oxygen dissociation curve. So three of this all will shift the curve to right. Yeah, increase carbon dioxide, increase body temperature, increase 2, 3 biphosphoglycerate. This is DPG, diphosphog, di or bi the same, right? Di or 2, bi also 2. A metabolically important phosphate compound present in blood in different concentration under different metabolic conditions. And one more thing to remember, hemoglobin also acts like a buffer to the tissue partial pressure of oxygen. You can say tissue oxygen buffer system. Hemoglobin in blood is mainly responsible for stabilizing the partial pressure of oxygen. We know how it stabilizes. The saturation is dependent on this partial pressure, right? So it also acts like a buffer system in a blood. And here one more important point I found is that BPG mechanism is used for hypoxia, to adapt to hypoxia. So whenever there is low oxygen, actually BPG activates. Why, you know, whenever there is low oxygen, what happens, this BPG, all this get activated, they bind there and release the oxygen from hemoglobin, so that there will be more oxygen available for the tissues. So that is the mechanism here in hypoxia. So